Hey everyone, in this video we are going to do some performance optimization on our website and also to add in some good user experience like adding a back button, showing the loaders and all of that, okay, which we actually missed while creating the video, since we are only focused on making this work and adding some extra features and functionality, but we didn't really care about the user experience and all that. Okay, so in this video we'll be doing all of that, and I just want to dedicate a video just for this to improve the optimization. Okay, and then in the next video we will be doing the optimization for SEO, okay, so that Google can crawl our website and rank it at the top, and do all those optimization for Google to crawl our website. And let's get started. So the first thing which I want to do is, if I go to the browse properties page, we do not have any kind of back button. Okay, so the user has to manually click on this back button. So if I just show you the demo application, we have a back button right here. So we will just create this component just using importing the design button and just adding a text over here, and when we click on this, should navigate to the previous page that we were visited. Okay, so let's get started. So let's create a component called back button. Okay, so I'm just creating a general component so that we can just import this anywhere wherever we want to use this. Okay, and let's sketch our component, and here first of all let's import the button component from design. Alright, and inside this button we are going to provide certain props like the icon. Okay, so for the back icon, so let us provide the back icon, so that is going to be let's call this left outline. Okay, and we also need to import that. So import this component from design icons. Alright, so once that's done, we can just give it a text of, let's say, back. Okay, and also let's give it a class name of margin bottom 1, so just so that we separate the content from the button. So mb-1. so these are all the custom class names, so this is nothing tailwind CSS specific, so we have everything within our globals.css, which I already told you before. Okay, so just wanted to say that, and whenever we click on this, we just need to go one step back, right? So let's provide an on click and set this to a function, and this we can just call in the window object dot history. Okay, so this will give us the history of whatever the pages we have visited, basically the URLs. Okay, and we have a function called back, which will go back to the page which we previously came from. Okay, so if I save this, and now we can go to the properties page, which is right here, that is /properties, which will list all the properties that we have. So we can just go right above this filter form, and we can just import the back button over there. Okay, so first let's import that. So import back button from component /back button, and we can go right above this form, so before the card, and let's place our back button there like this. So now if I save this and go back and give it a refresh maybe, so there we go, we have our back button. So if I click on this back, it will take us back to the previous page. All right, so now let's do the same for the other places as well. So we can go to the messages and add a back button there. Okay, so if you feel this kind of boring, you can just do it yourself, or you can of course skip this video. So let's anyways go ahead. So let's go to the messages page, and let's see. Okay, so I can just go right above this paragraph where we are displaying the number of messages that we are receiving, and then place our back button there like this. And if I save this and go back, and I should be able to see the back button. Okay, nice. So we can just do the same for the other pages as well, like for the saved properties. So we can go above these cards and place our back button there. Okay, and let's also do the same for the search results. Okay, and anything else, we can do the same for the profile page as well. So we can go right above this card and paste our back button there. Okay, so let's also do for the edit pages as well, and also for the single property. So let's go inside this, and maybe we can go right before the breadcrumb and paste in our back button there. The same for the edit page as well. So right maybe before this form and paste our back button all right, and also for the add page, so right before this paragraph tag maybe, or before the form, doesn't matter, let's paste in over here. And yeah, so let's see if we have the back button everywhere else. So we can now go to the home page and go to list property. So let's see, so this back button would look good below this paragraph, so I can just push this down, so that looks good. And let's now check for the other pages as well. So I guess we already seen for messages and saved properties. So if I click on a property and go to the property specific page, so we need to convert the button to a client component, okay, so which usually I should have done that, okay. So since we are adding an on click to this button, so let's render this only on the clients by saying use client. And if I save this and go back, this error should be gone. Okay, so we have the back button, and also this will be better if we put it right below this breadcrumbs. So we can go to this page and cut this and paste this right below the breadcrumb area. That's better. And let's check the same for the profile page. So we have the back button there as well, okay, even for the profile page. Not the best position, but anyways, okay. So let's now check for the other pages. So I guess we have handled the back button for every page. If there is anything missing, we can just come back and just make that simple import. So now let's go ahead and add a spinner to every component that we are rendering. So basically it is taking time to fetch the data from the backend. So we just don't want to show in a blank screen, and we can just show in a basically a loader, okay. So if I just show you the demo of this application, so if I go to the messages place, you see that now it says 0 messages, and this doesn't show anything. After a while it shows in over here, okay. So since this is deployed on Vercel, and this doesn't this is just the free version of it, right, and free version doesn't have good quality of deployments, right. So it will be better if we show in a spinner. And since this is in our local environment, so that is why this is a little bit faster. So let's anyways it would of course matter once we deploy this, when the speed will become slow. So let's add a spinner over here. So we have already done this for the properties page, okay, so which will list all the properties. We have created a state called loading, and whenever our properties have finished fetching, then the loading state would go back to false, okay. So within this use effect, while we are fetching the properties, we set the state of is loading to true, and once it finish fetching properties, we can just set the loading back to false, okay. So we can just do the same for the other components as well. So let's start with the messages. So we can while we are fetching the messages, we can put a state over here called loader and set loader. So const loading set loading, or we can just call this is loading, which would mean a lot better. So and set is loading, and initially the state is going to be false, and whenever we are fetching the messages, we can put this back to true. So we can now set is loading to true, okay. So once we have finished fetching the properties, okay, or the messages, we can just set that back to false, okay. We can just put this in the finally block and set the is loading state to false, okay. And using this variable, we can now go right below this paragraph. Before we are rendering all the messages, we can just first check if loading state is true, then we want to output the loader, okay. So the loader is coming from and design. We can output the loading outlined, okay. So if we also hover on this, it will give the actual thing that is being outputted. So, okay, so the icon, we can also add in a class name of loading outlined, or just loading, okay. So once that's done, so sorry, this is loading, okay. So with that saved, now if we go back to our application and give this a refresh, so you see that we see the loader over here, okay. So before it fetches our messages, all right. So that's working fine. So let's do the same for the saved properties as well, okay. So we can just copy this and go to the saved components, saved properties, and let's put in right before this property cards and check if is loading is true, then we want to output the loader. Okay, so let's also import this. Okay, so that's imported, and let's create the state for the loading. So const loading or is loading, and set is loading, and set this initially to false. Okay, alright, so now let's go to the function where we are making a fetch. So let's go right below this first if, where we are checking if the user exists within a session object. So let's put set is loading to true, and once we have fetched the user, we can put that back to false. Okay, okay, so with that done, we can now replace this. How did this get changed? I'm not sure why. Let me just quickly fix this. Is loading, if is loading is true, then we output the loading outline and the class name is loading. Okay, not sure why. So let's go to saved properties and give it a refresh. Okay, so for a moment we saw that maybe it was still loading. Okay, so if you would have seen for a flash of a second, we could see the loader. Okay, so let's now go to the other components. So we have already done this then for the properties page. Okay, so if you have seen for a flash of a second, so let's do the same for the profile maybe. Okay, so let's go to the profile page, and over here again let's do the same. We can go below this h1 tag and paste in our state over there where we are checking if it's loading, then we output the loader. So let's create that state quickly of is loading and set is loading, and initially is going to be false, and once we are fetching the user, right, which will contain all the user saved properties. So let's create that. So let's set the is loading state to false, true, and once we have finished fetching the users or the properties of the user, we can set that back to false. Okay, so there's an error here, so there's just the import that is missing. So let's quickly grab this, get just the loading outline. So with that saved, now let's give it a refresh. So you see the loader just came in. Okay, so that's done. And also inside this edit property page, we can add in commas for the price that we type in over here. Okay, so if I just type in some price over here, so the user is clueless of what is this actually. So prices are always shown in commas, right? So we can just add a commas over here, so for whatever numbers we type in, so that would be better. So we can go to the design documentation, and inside this we can search for the input component. So we can just check how can we add commas. Okay, so there should definitely be a solution for that. So we are using the input number, right? So we can just check how can we add commas over there. It's over here. So let's check the code. So it says that we need to add a formatter to the prop, and over there we just need to pass in the value and just add in some regular expression. Okay, so let's copy this code. So I can copy this. Okay, and where are we doing that? So we are doing on the add and the edit pages, right? So first let's go to the edit page. Okay, so we are having the input number over here, and we have the add-on before and after. We can also add in these two props. Okay, so the formatter. So if I save this and now go to my application, so I should be able to see commas over there. Okay, so where did we actually put this? This is for the price. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So we have the price, but I do not want to show in this dollar over here since this is rupees. So I can just put can just take away this dollar here, and yeah, so let's do the same for the area as well. Okay, so we have the input number here, and let's paste in that. And if I just type in a number like this, so I should be able to see commas. And I just realized that this reset button is not working. I guess I would have forgot to add the functionality when we click on this reset button, so it should clear the form, right? So let's put an on click and call the form instance. Okay, so the form dot clear, so it has a property called reset fields, which we need to call it as a function. And now if I click on this reset, all of our values should be initialized. Okay, so this is working fine. Let's do the same for the add page as well. Maybe I did this or not, I'm not sure. So I add in a name and click on reset. So maybe I still didn't do it for the add page as well, so let's quickly do that. I know this video is getting a little boring, but it is necessary for this project to be done. Okay, so let's again put an on click and let's call a function, and that should call the form instance that we created dot reset fields. Okay, so form. Okay, so we didn't create a form instance, I guess, for this. So let's create that form, that to the form dot use form. Okay, so let's create that variable at the top where we are declaring the hooks, and just destructure the first element, that is the form, and call the form from design dot use form like this. Let's check this once again. Now I type in a name and click on reset. Yeah, okay, so that's working fine. Now we can move ahead with the rest. Also, we are not displaying the property type, that is the apartment or the independent house, which would be a valid tag to add besides this. Okay, so after this 2 BHK we can just show in the apartment type. So let's go back and add this as well. So let's go to the property cards component, which is actually rendering the property cards. Okay, so there it contains the tags, that is displaying the various property information like the number of BHK and all that. So we have it somewhere here. Yeah, so we have within this tag element from design. So let us duplicate one more time to display the property type. Okay, so we can just duplicate this and we can just replace this with the property type. All right, so let's do that. So that is coming from property dot type, and sorry, this should be property type and not just type, because the type is for showing the rent or sale. So the property type is for the independent or the apartment. Okay, so if I just save this, and I don't think we need to change the icon. If you wish, you can change it. Okay, so there are no much icons also in design, so we can just go this one as well. So if you need more icons, you can install another package like React icons, which will give you a vast collection of icons. Okay, so we can leave that, and if we refresh, so we get either the apartment or the independent. Okay, so it just wraps down in another line since we have put the wrap property for this, so it doesn't look that good, but anyways. So let's now move ahead. So I also want to show in the slash per month. Okay, for rented properties, and for sale we do not need anything since this is the absolute value for that. So we can just add in slash month only for those properties that are for rent. Okay, so that it doesn't confuse between the rent or for sale. Okay, so we can now go to the property price where we are displaying that. So it's right here. We can now first check if the property is for rent, then we put the slash month string to this. Okay, so let's put in another expression here and check if the property dot property type or the type, and if that is equal to rent. Okay, and then we just want to put in a string of slash month, which means per month. Okay, so if I save this, and I should be able to see slash month. Okay, so also there's a space over here which doesn't look good. I can just get rid of this. Alright, so that's done. So if I go to any one of these properties, okay, so maybe we can add in an extra feature like for button to copy the link of the property so that we can just share it with our friends or family like that. So if I just go to this, So in the demo application, you see that we have these two icons. One is for the bookmark and one is for a link to copy. Okay, so if I click on this, it says link copy to clipboard. So if I just paste it over here, it will give us the actual link, okay, with the property slash the particular ID of that property. So we can do the same over here as well. So let's go ahead and implement this. So to implement this, let us create a component which we can just import within the property page and use it over there, okay, and also anywhere else if we may need it. So let's call this float icons, okay. So those icons were actually called float icons, but since they stick to the bottom of the screen and doesn't change, doesn't vary while we scroll, okay, so that's why it's called as float icons. Okay, so let's create a component here. So this is going to be similar to the save property, okay. So I can just put this side by side and I can just copy paste some of the code from there. All right, so since we are also using those buttons inside this particular component, so I can just copy whatever we have within save property and I can paste in over here, and I can rename this to be float icons. Alright, and this is also going to receive the property where we just need to check if the user is the currently logged in user is the owner of the property and doing all those checks and stuff, okay. So we just need to go and replace some of the contents over here. So first of all, we don't need this is sold feature within this float icons, so we do not need that, only the saved properties and the link to copy the URL, okay. So we can just get rid of wherever we are using this and along with this handler, and let's go to the place where we are using it. So it's right here, and let's get rid of this and also this, okay. And we of course need the save property, and yeah, so we can create a component here itself within this particular file. So I can just call that copy link and I can just import it wherever we are using it, okay. So right after this, like if we are checking if the property owner either if it exists or not, so we can just show in both of these conditions, okay. So we can create a common function here. So let's call this copy link and make sure this is capital, which represent that this is a React component, and inside this we are just going to import the float button from design, okay. And let's provide an icon of, let's say, share alt outlined, so that is share alt outlined, okay. So if you also hover on this, you will get the actual icon like this, and apart from the icon, we also need to give it a type, okay, so which is primary, okay. So this will give us a primary color background for this particular icon. So by default it is not primary, so it will be transparent. All right, so apart from this, let's give an on click, okay. So whenever we click on this icon, it should give us the URL link to our copy to our clipboard, okay. So we can just use the global object of the navigator. So we can say inside this, so we can use the global navigator object, so the browser API called navigator.clipboard, okay. So this will have access to the clipboard, and we can write something inside our clipboard by calling write text, and then we can pass in the URL, okay. So how do we get the URL? So we can just call the window object, which is available globally within our browsers, dot location dot href, okay. So this will give us the URL. So whenever we click on this, it will write the inside our clipboard, okay, by using the navigator function which is available within browsers. So that's done. We can now close this up. All right, and also we need to return, which I forgot, okay. So let's also give this a tooltip, okay, and call this copy link like this, and inside this we can just wrap our button in, okay. So that's done. We can now use this particular component on both the sides, okay. If the property either is the owner or not, okay, we just want to show in both the cases, so we can just show right above this edit property button, so copy link, and let's do the same here as well, okay. So let's wrap this in fragments, Okay, so that's done. Now let's check it out. So let's replace this to give a position at the bottom of let's say 100. Okay, so there will be a 100 pixel like difference between the bottom and the icon. Okay, so let's give this 100 pixel, and sorry, this should be just 100. So internally not and design will interpret this as 100 pixel, and by default this positioning will be absolute. Okay, so we just need to position this based on where we want to display it on the screen, and also it will be fixed wherever it is within our screen, and it will be stuck at the page bottom of the screen. Okay, so we can now go ahead and test this out. Okay, so before that we need to import this within the property page. Okay, so right here we can just close this, and we can just display somewhere here. Okay, so since this is positioned absolute, so we can just display wherever we want. So we can import the float icons, the float icons component, and then pass in our property. Okay, and like this, and close this up. Okay, so property could either be defined or undefined, so it could also be null. Okay, so we can just put a check if the property object exists, only then we want to display this. Okay, so let's go back and test this if it is working. So there you go, we have the two icons where we can save the property or copy the property link. Okay, so if I click on this copy property link, I should probably be giving a flash message saying that link copied to URL. So let's quickly do that. Let's go to the float icons and import the message. It's already imported, so we just need to use that wherever we are giving an on click over there. So we can just convert this to a block, and inside this we can show message and say link copied to clipboard, and the variant of this is going to be success. Okay, so we don't have access to the show message, which we also need to import over here. So we can just call this show message and set this to use message, which we have already imported within this file, and just call it. Okay, so once we do that and click on this copy link, so we get the link copied to clipboard. Just a typo as usual I make. Okay, so while talking and typing I just make those mistakes. So anyways, so let's try the save property as well. So if I just click on the save property, yeah, so the property is now saved. If I refresh, this button over here glows up to red. Okay, so which means that the property is saved. You can also verify that within our saved properties. Okay, so now if I go to the property which I as a person created, this doesn't look good. So I forgot to also change this to bottom and set this to 100. Alright, so does it have to be 100 or no? I'm not sure. Let's see, or we just need to give it some more. No, that's looking good. So this is for the edit property, where we can edit the property, and of course this copy link button, which is common either the user is the property owner or not. Okay, so we are displaying in both the cases, and we do not see the contact form just because we are the owner of the property and it doesn't make sense to contact ourselves. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next bug that we have, that is to display slash month if this property is for int. Okay, so of course this property is for int, so we are not displaying the slash month over here. So let's quickly fix that. So back to our property page, let's go to the place where we are displaying the price. Okay, so it is somewhere here. Okay, so let's again put that check and check if the property dot price or the type, if that is equal to rent, then we just want to add in the message of slash per month or the string. Okay, like this. And okay, so now if we go back and give it a refresh, we see the slash month. Okay, So that's it, I guess. So in the next video we are going to do SEO for this application, so make sure you watch that video because it will be very important for Google to crawl our website and also rank it over there. Okay, so it's going to be a very interesting one. So that's it. So I hope you like this video. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.